وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا رحمة للعالمين. الصلاة والسلام عليك يا نبي الله، الصلاة والسلام عليك يا شفيع الله، الصلاة والسلام عليك يا شفيع الأمة. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh to Maulana, to the participants. Welcome to the session. And I think Maulana and I, we've been talking about this topic for a long time, and there's so much to talk about it. So I hand over straight to Maulana.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وبعد. ويقول الله سبحانه وتعالى بشأن حبيب الكريم مخبر وآمرا قولا كريما إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وأصحابه وبارك وسلم. Once more, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our coordinator and organizer, Brother Samir Abdul Wahab, and the attendees. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us and make shukr that gives us the opportunity to get into situations of learning. And the key of learning is consistency, though it be little. يقول رسول صلى الله عليه وسلم أحب الأعمال عند الله أدومها وإن قل. The best of actions by Allah are those which are consistently done, though it be little. And so it too it is for the obligatory part of pursuing knowledge. And so I'm happy that Alhamdulillah this class has been quite consistent, although I think we have been a little on the lazy side and not attending as we should. But nevertheless, this is an extremely important subject. I've been called to so many families, and then the problem reaches the lawyers and the courts, whereas all it needed was a simple page in which the testator, the one who makes up the will, that means the person, each one of us for that matter, actually every single Muslim should have a will. It doesn't mean you only have a will if you've got money or if you've got property. You can bequeath things, and then of course there's also the obligatory part. There's the optional part, which we call bequests and called wasiya in Arabic. It's a term that is used. And then of course the other modus and system and template for the distribution of one's possessions after death, then that kicks in. The wasiya you can do before. It is optional. You can bequeath not more than 1/3 of your estate, because if you bequeath more than that, then we are encroaching upon what the Sharia has stipulated in the balance of the 2/3 for Dhawil Furud. These are the people who necessarily inherit. It's not an option. Husbands, wives, spouses. So basically, say the deceased, so upwards, all upward relationships. So deceased father, mother, parents, grandparents, and upward further. The deceased children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. There is a time when it goes sideways, but very rarely, because there's always upward and downward blood direct relationships, and only they are included in the distribution, the fard distribution, which is in the Quran, and that is called ilmul mirath or ilmul fara'id. Fard is the singular, fara'id. In this case, fara'id does not necessarily mean all the fara'id, which of course it is also used for the word fard. When you use the word fard, immediately you know it is the pillars of Islam, the fard things. Immediately comes to mind is salah, obviously. Fard, khalas, non-negotiable, that's it, finish. Allah has obligated us to grant us His special mercies. So some of the things He obligates us, He makes it fard, so that we got no option, because He loves us so much, he wants to give us those blessings. So some people take it the other way around, that farad is a burden. Farad is like a, you know, almost a difficult duty. It is like a heaviness. Not at all. If we do it with the right mindset, then that is why Allah obliges it. He obliges, He makes farad the giving of zakah, because it is a restitutive tax for family, for extended family, for needy persons in the family, and then in the ummah of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So fard does mean faraid is the plural. It includes all the faraid, all the things that Allah Himself, by command and clear instruction in the Quran, what they call nas qat'i. That means it is a very clear. Aqimus salah, atuz zakah, atimmul hajj wal umrata lillah. So there's no room for interpretation. It's extremely clear, a Quranic terminology, that until it is done, it is not off our head, to the point that if we sleep from a salah or fard, the qada will remain on our head until we die. So even, in fact, part of the will, of writing up the will include, and these days you get specimens, ready specimens at Al Baraka Bank, Oasis, the ulama councils, Darul Ulooms, they all have templates, so you don't even have to worry. In fact, you will just Google their Islamic will and you'll see it comes, and you can see the one which fits you. But this has to be done almost before you put your head on the pillow tonight. Anything can happen tomorrow. Also, if there's no will, in terms of Islamic secular law, South African law, you could lose a good percentage that otherwise would not have gone to them. It would have gone to the heirs who necessarily, you know, right. So a husband dies, the wife inherits. The wife dies, a husband inherits, but also their parents. This is something I have not found. I have not found anybody in the generic worlds, Islamic worlds. They don't specify always, because it varies. Some people got 20 children, some people got 5 girls and 3 boys. So the boys get double as the girls. So you got to work these things out, and it's not complicated, but you must know the principles. But it is a very specialist area of Islamic knowledge, and if you do not study it and know it, you know, I'm afraid you won't be able to dabble with it. So therefore, always consult an alim, consult a scholar, especially with the ilm al-faraid. In fact, the scholars of Islam, the ulama, and the researchers and the qualified scholarship have in fact told us that the laws of inheritance is half of all Islamic knowledge. Allahu Akbar. To emphasize the importance of proper distribution of one's wealth and estate and things, because there's always fight. And one of the Persian Sufis and Walis, they say the entire world is fighting, or the strife or whatever is happening is all because of 3 things: Zan, Zameen, or Zar. 3 Z's, which is in the Persian word. Zan, women; Zameen, land; Zar, money. Now, if you actually analyze that, look at your own problems. If it's not about women, wives and daughters, or aunties, or mothers, or other women that become a challenge for one's taqwa, and if it's not that, then it's Zameen. World wars are fought because of land. And then Zar. I don't think anybody on this chat or anybody in the world needs to be convinced that money indeed, you know, wars are fought, people are killed, people are robbed, lies, deceit, which is very common in almost all of our societies, and that is why we have become weak as a ummah, that the world can trample upon us, they can bomb us to smithereens. All we can do is make dua. There's not much further we can do, because the Muslim countries themselves have lost their moral high ground, their ethical conduct. You look at our institutions. It is run by the merchant class. Poor people have got no say, even if they've got all the qualifications. So we are in what we call an economically stratified society. That means money, especially in the Western industrial world. Racial apartheid, ethnic apartheid may be gone, but economic apartheid is very, very much alive and kicking all over the world, because even socialist models where there was some level of restitution for communities and people, an egalitarian society where equality and where people, where the state genuinely wants to see that there is no poverty in any part of the world. But you'll find in the Western world, and all who copy the Western world, like South Africa and many places in Africa. Whereas if you go to the Islamic Arab countries, even although the Arab leaders and oligarchies and despots are cruel, the social fabric of Islam is so strong that there's still that old system of neighbors helping neighbors with food, with money, with clothes, with any eventuality. That by and large has disappeared in our very little there is left of it. But if you go to Yemen, you go to Syria, you go to the old Islamic ancient lands, that is very much alive still, even under the bombing and under the difficulties and under the civil war and under the hatred. Those family and communal values are extremely strong still. And that is why the West is so envious, because they break the economy, they break it. They substitute it with capitalism, knowing that leaders will just have 1,000. I mean, it's absolutely sinful. Now with Bangladesh, that lady was ousted. They've got billions. What are the billions doing in foreign banks? All of them, billions in foreign banks. And their people are suffering from poverty. And no shame whatsoever, you know. Absolutely no shame. I think the leader of Niger, I saw now, he's driving an ordinary car. He's living in an ordinary house, and he's been trying to raise the economic strength of his country. Rwanda has tried, and then Rwanda, the West is trying to give them loans, trying to the IMF is, the World Bank, IMF are trying to lure him, and of course he is resisting. So don't be surprised if they assassinate him and put a puppet there, which is in every single country in the world. Your own family will take that ride, like it started with King Faisal when he tried. Well, he did the mistake first of calling the Americans in, first the British, and then when the British couldn't manage because they didn't remain the dominant power in the world, after Second World War, America emerged, and since then it has had got a stranglehold on Saudi. So the King Faisal, Saudi king at that time, saw it. At least he had that 1% of aql, but he'd already given. He'd made a contract, even permanent contract for life, that that will be exclusive sales to the states, and that only in dollars. And that thing, I think, only lapsed now lately. I believe for 100 years or something it was tied up in. So you'd make the big mistakes, you sell your soul to the Americans. Now you want to pull back. You think they're going to listen? So they get his own nephew assassinated, King Faisal. Many of you don't know these histories. Any case, to come back, so the world, the Islamic world, is one of those restitutive instruments of the devolution of wealth, so that the wealth does not lay in the hand of one person, and then the father gives it to his favorite son. No, the biological children of the deceased, automatically, by the command of Allah, not by the command of the testator, or the one who makes up the will. Not they got no. Yes, the assets will vary, the amounts will vary depending how many boys, how many girls, whether their spouses survive them, whether there's parents. Take note, I haven't come across people, even in our own families, actually including the parents in the laws of inheritance. They know clearly something about themselves and their spouses and their children, but that's where it stops. And then, of course, some of them have excommunicated their children. You can only excommunicate your child if he goes into kufr. If he leaves Islam, becomes a non-Muslim or a murtad, then he gets cut off from wasiya and from ilm al-faraid, or from they call it also ilmul mirath. That means inheriting, the waratha, the inheritors, the heirs. So it's also taken by that name, ilmul mirath or ilmul faraid. Both of them are used. It's synonyms there. So to recap, it is an obligation to make up a will. Those of you that are listening today, Evan, the minute this ends, take a piece of paper, write there, in the event of my death, my estate and whatever I own must be devolved according to Islamic law, according to Hanafi, Shafi, Sunni Islam, Sunni Hanafi, Islamic law, or Sunni Shafi, Mali, whatever. Just put that, sign it, and have two witnesses. That you do it tonight, and then go online almost immediately. Google, download a more detailed one. Do the same thing. Sign it, and you can always revisit it again to adjust it. In your lifetime, I know quite a number of people were fearing that their children will fight because they know their children. They know who's greedy, who is crooked, who is conniving, that they won't even think twice. The mayat would not be even cold. I'll give you a quick example. There was this family where in the areas that I worked, so I won't tell you where. I worked in Durban, I worked in Pretoria, I worked in Cape Town, I worked in the Emirates. So there was a will, but it was not so clear. It wasn't an Islamic will, and there was a massive. There was property, there was gold, there was cash, there was businesses, and so what the father did actually in the will, yes, he left everything to the mother, but told the mother that she should, see to it that it is done. Overnight, a conservative lady who basically had nothing, everything was on the name of the husband, the house, the everything. Maybe the only thing she had was whatever cash was in her account or in a tijori or in her hand, or her personal belongings. Other than that, this massive multi-million rand portfolio was overnight, in a split second, she became a multi-millionaire. And of course, we went for the janaza, we went for the Fatiha, everything, and at least they had the decency to wait for the 40 days. And then, of course, the lawyer came and he read the will and everything, this and that. And then she started distributing according to her thinking. That means she already got mad by the sudden power. 10, 15, 20 million overnight. She's a millionaire. It's like she pinched herself, can't believe it. And of course she did that. And then the youngest of the children, now up to today, I couldn't ascertain whether his niyat was good or bad, but he came to me and he said, "Maulana Sahab, this is what is happening and we're not getting our correct, right? And according to Islamic law, I'm supposed to get double what my sisters are getting, and this and that and that." I say, "Oh, okay, so I see." So I say, by the other world, how much we are getting? So no, we are pittance. Oh, I see. And by this Islamic, no, it will be substantial. I said, "Oh, okay." So I said, if your niyat was bad, please put your niyat right. Don't call for Islamic law with a bad niyat. If you did have that, clean that niyat, make tawbah, and remake your niyat that now you're committed. But in any case, it has to go by Islamic law. But just look at the quality, how the quality of engaging in your Islamic duties changes simply by a niyyah. So the niyyah was to get more because he wasn't going to get more that way. So suddenly he became a very good Muslim. Suddenly he understood ilmul mirath and ilmul faraid. He became a alim and a scholar overnight. Beware, if you people know the ultimate responsibility. You see, you people look at us like little simpletons and things like that, which is good, so that our ego also doesn't blow up. And it's good that you people come and punch us sometimes. And, you tell us, you talk back to us and do a lot of things, and sometimes even disrespect. It's a good thing, actually. So our egos can also be in check. But people have got no idea when they dabble in the religion, especially at our institutions, at our madrasas, schools, colleges, mosques, radio stations. I'm busy at the moment with our IPSA in Cape Town, where the trustee is now, they're doing renovations on a building. He is the sole signatory on that building account. He issues the order for the material. He supplies it, and not directly from his own hardware. He set up another company. He first sells it to them, and that company sells it onward to IPSA, to the college. They found now, they brought me the documents and we're taking it up legally. They found that this man, as a trustee of IPSA, has been enriching himself in some of the hardware to the point of 175%. Now, that's conflict of interest. You can't be a member of an institute and then you the supplier, unless there's been 3 minimum tenders that went out. Honest tenders, not tenders that I get out and then quietly the guy who's putting out the tenders, the treasurer or the secretary of the organization, phones his nephew. He's got a stationery shop, or he's got a hardware shop, or he's got a security business, tender. The guy is an executive member and he's supplying all these things. It's conflict of interest. I don't care who says what. Otherwise, resign and be independent and supply. But I doubt Muslims have that courage. When he's got money, all the ethics and morality goes down the drain. So, in any case, this it's a real situation. So the lady, we tried. We had a full meeting, tried to speak and all that. She said, "Moulana, don't worry, I will do it. I will do it. I will do it." Okay, so we left it. Then I'm traveling overseas one day. I'm at Tembo. I flew in from the other point where I was. Here I see this lady a lady coming with a younger lady and a smaller child, smaller children who were not married at the time of this issue. And she's got that sun hats. She's dressed in Western clothing. She's got big sunglasses, and she's walking. A very conservative, ultra conservative clothes does that before. See what the money does. So, oh, Moulana, they bumped in. Oh, we didn't recognize. Oh, Eugene, no, alhamdulillah. Where are you going to? No, I'm going to, I think I was going to Zimbabwe or where it was. And where are you going to? No, we just, after all these difficult times and so forth. And this was a couple of months later, not too long. 40 days was finished, probably 2-3 months later. She's going to Mauritius for a holiday. No problem. Mubarak. Mubarak. But you can see how a conservative lady, overnight millionaires, she's already dressing like a millionaire. Before she's even in Mauritius, it looked like she's on the beach in Mauritius. So these are real. I am deliberately, you don't know who it is. So it's not a ghibat, it's this thing, it's a general. And I think you can get 100 examples like this. The point that I'm making is money corrupts and you become corruptible. So those of you who have got little money, don't complain, make shukr actually. It may be that if you are given that money, you will become the slave of that money, because all of us here have got a price. Don't let Allah test you with that price. Some of us will slip at 10,000 rand, some will slip at 10 million rand. We don't know. I don't know what's my price. I haven't been tested yet, and I hope I'm not tested, because I think I can slip. Imagine a guy just comes and says, "Listen, just do this, and this fatwa, be a signatory to this, can you keep this 2 million for me at your home? I'll give you 500,000, laundering the money." It's very tempting. Bond is paid off. I can give my wife a brand new glass and aluminium and gold trimming and ivory tiles, and it's a good niyat. It's not a bad niyat. But let somebody come from next door, your brother, whose house is going on sale, you'll sooner go to the auction and buy the house, which has happened in our town. It has happened, and it has happened in Cape Town. I know of 2 instances. So to come back, so the will, you write it up, you make your children know it, that this is your will, so that they also know that there's not going to be a scramble for the wealth after the body is hardly cold. So 2 things. One is the wasiya. It is optional. 1/3. Also, there isn't this practice of waqf. The Ottoman Empire was the last people who organized waqf at the level at which up till today those awqaf are running. In fact, Sayyidina Uthman Ghani radiallahu anhu's waqf started in the time of his Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or shortly after he arrived in Medina. That waqf is still running up to today. Of course, the Saudis have tried to appropriate, even if they couldn't break the waqf, because that is absolutely, that is haram, haram, haram. They can rather bring, Western singers to Riyadh to sing, while this side, they don't give a cent or conscience to what's happening in Gaza. But they can't touch the waqf. But what they do, the proceeds of the waqf, they distribute, you see. But they can't cancel Sayyidina Osman waqf. They can't cancel the awqaf of the Ottoman Empire that on whose land now today, even like there's hotels whose tremendous income goes for Masjid al-Nabawi, for example. So they administer it, but obviously they will disburse it as they seem fit. So in that case, they can't be trusted. So the wasiya, 1/3 of your estate you can put in there if you want to. I was an executor now lately, just 2 months ago, for somebody in Cape Town, and they sent me the documents. We filled it in, everything, sent the documents back, and in there I saw that the lady had actually left for the Habibia Sufi Masjid an amount. She left for her uncle, who was not a heir. Her uncle was not an heir. She gave some a good voluminous portfolio of shares in a company, because he had looked after them, because her father had passed away on very early. I actually rented one of the properties by them. That's how, as a neighbor, they trusted me enough that I must become the executor. And yet they had lawyers in their own family, but the lawyers devolved the will, but I was the executor, for example. So there she gave 1/3 to uncle, and divided between the uncle and the mosque and the orphanage. So you can do that. Don't have to. If you don't want to, you that 1/3 can go to your mosque and go to anybody who is not inheriting. You can't give the inheritance. Yes, in your lifetime you can give. You can take your whole house and give it to whoever you want. But the minute your eyes closed, the laws of faraid, the laws of inheritance kick in, and you're absolutely, totally, inextricably tied into, up to the fractions in the Quran. So do a bit of research, go online, get some books on laws of inheritance, and it's a very, very interesting, inshallah. And the first thing today, take a piece of paper, write it out, sign it, have 2 witnesses even in the house, and then thereafter get either from Al Baraka Bank, if you've got an account there, ask them, they give it free, or one of the Muslim judiciaries, Sunni Jamaat Ulama, Sunni Ulama Council, the Darul Ulooms. I'm sure they all have templates and specimens, and then you can adjust it accordingly. But get that done before you put your head on your pillow tonight, so that you do not leave that obligation on your children, and that you get chastised. Those people who did not do their wills are tormented in the grave. Our Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, give the obligatory shares of the estate to those who deserve them, and the rest belongs to the closest male to the deceased. For example, just one of the hadith, learn estate division and teach it to people. For I am someone, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, who will be taken from you, and this knowledge will be taken from you, and calamities will ensue until 2 men will one day disagree about the obligatory apportionment, and will not find anyone to judge between them. If that is not final enough to show you the gravity from the words of our Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam of the knowledge and practice and the establishing and writing up a will right immediately. Shukran. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah Maulana. Thanks for your time. Even to the participants, if there's any questions, I know besides Maulana here, we do have a group of ulama that can try to assist. Feel free to forward questions. But like Maulana said, the websites, the Muslim banks, there's Muslim lawyers that are doing a law of inheritance. Please let us make an effort to do what is right, inshallah. Jazakallah again to everyone. Jazakallah.
Cockney Foundation has got a panel of ulama also, I think.
Yeah, we have a Sharia committee. Maulana
is one of the few organizations that have got a ulama advisory.
Yeah. So inshallah, we've got, like Maulana said, qualified ulama that prepared to assist. So inshallah. Okay, Jazakallah everyone. Okay, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.